Hi guys, my name's Kim and Daredevil Season 2 is what we're going to be talking about today. I'm so sorry I'm so slow on this review. Obviously Batman vs Superman came out and overtook everything, so I didn't want to sort of like over-hype myself for Daredevil when I was supposed to be seeing Batman vs Superman. So now that I've watched it, I watched it like a week and a half ago, so I've written down some notes to refresh my memory because of course I just spammed the hell out of it. Let's talk about it. So Season 2 of Daredevil, obviously Season 1 was amazing, everyone loved it. In terms of comparing this season to the first one, it's kind of hard to say because a lot of people say that the second season is so much better. On me, I think they're quite on par. Obviously, Season 2 has much more fight scenes in it, they're way more epic, there's so much more characters and storylines happening, but in my opinion, the storytelling of the first season was a lot better. Obviously, the characters have improved so much in Season 2, but I feel like this season is a bit more clunky in terms of its storytelling. You sort of had the first 3 or 4 episodes set up the Punisher. And it was like, the Punisher, and you were like, oh my god, I want to know so much more about this character. And then they sort of like put him on the back burner, and then they introduced Elektra, and there was no more Punisher. And you were like, okay, but alright, so let's get into Elektra. And then Elektra stopped, and then the Punisher came back in, and then Fisk came back in, and then it was all sort of a jumbled mess. So I'm not to say I did not like Season 2. Season 2 was amazing and I loved it, but the storytelling and like the way that the plot sort of went was a little bit all over the place. It was sort of like chunky bits and then all thrown together. So that's why I'd probably say the storytelling narrative was a little bit better in Season 1, but Season 2 introduced so many more elements. Let's talk about them. So this series we were introduced to the Punisher, Elektra, and the big bad of this series, the Ninja's The Hand. Firstly, let's talk the Punisher. Oh my god. Jon Bernthal was literal perfection as the Punisher. When they first announced that Shane from The Walking Dead was going to play the Punisher, I thought, yes, like I could not see anyone else playing this character. I don't know why, but I always picture Jon Bernthal like, I've never seen him like clean, and that's not to say that's a bad thing. He's always got like bruises or cuts, or he's just been hit or something like that. He's literally just been beat up in any show that I've ever seen him in, and he always looks really rough and sort of mean looking, which is really cool. And I think in terms of this series and Punisher, you like never see him without some kind of bruise or cut. So the way that his bruises and cuts were done through the series, I really enjoyed. I'm not sure if this was super intentional or if I'm like looking into it too much, but I found that sort of like when he was on trial as well, obviously we know that the Punisher's like logo is a skull. You would see it sometimes, I don't know if anyone else saw it, but his bruises, he had dark bruising around his eyes and then sort of towards here, and it really like made his skull look more prominent. I don't know if that was like paying a homage to the fact that, you know, the Punisher wears a skull t-shirt or whatever, but for me, I think this imagery really suited the character. Now the little bits of emotion we saw from the Punisher were, I think they were really good because obviously his morals and the way that he goes about things is not something I can condone. Like I can't accept the way that he goes and kills people, but we understand why he does it, which is good. And they have little elements showing his compassion in this series, and I think my favorite part was when they got the dog and they were gonna kill him, and then he was like, no, okay, just kill me first, like seriously, it's fine. So anyone that's an animal lover, I absolutely love it. I think this is a very subtle way to show his compassion, which was really well done. Let's talk about the ending with the Punisher. When we saw the minigun, he saw the minigun, and I was like, oh my god, he's gonna use this full out in the end. And then at the end, all he did was sniper a few ninjas and then like leave. Who else thought he was gonna like belt out the minigun and like kill everybody? I was a little bit disappointed because I thought that's what he'd be doing. But I mean, I kind of understand story-wise, if he just sort of like started belting out his minigun, he may have hit Matt and killed him. But I was a little tiny bit disappointed about that. At least we got to see his skull t-shirt finally in action. Everything else, no disappointments at all. He was just fantastic. He was perfect. Let's talk a little bit about Elektra. And this was sort of part of the series that I wasn't too keen on. Elektra in this series, I don't know what it was, if it was the actress, the way that she was written, I'm not really sure, but I just did not like her in this series. I didn't like the actress, I didn't like the character, I didn't like the way that her storyline was really weirdly woven in, and she was just like a mess. She was a mess, and I understand maybe the character is supposed to be a mess, but I don't know what it was. I think maybe her character just wasn't very prominent to me. I feel like to be in this series and to be a standout character, you've got to be really, really out there, really outstanding, and look very like unique to stand out there. But for me, she didn't stand out that much. I mean, I know that the actress has a lot of martial arts training, so that was a big reason of why they sort of cast her in this role, because Elektra's supposed to be, you know, you've seen her. So I can understand that, but for me, the actress didn't quite hit the marks of Elektra. I don't know a huge amount about Elektra, and I mean, obviously Jennifer Garner as Elektra, those movies were terrible, but in my opinion, Jennifer Garner stood out more to me as Elektra, as a character, than the Elektra in this series did. I don't know what it was, I just couldn't. Overall, wasn't overly keen on her character, unfortunately. Lastly, I want to talk about Wilson Fisk. Wilson Fisk was my favorite character in season 1, like my favorite character. Every scene he was in, I was mesmerized. So the fact that he was put away in jail at the end of the first season, I thought, oh my god, is he not going to be in season 2? Maybe he'll break out, who knows? So throughout season 2, obviously they were talking a lot about Fisk, but I wasn't sure if he was actually going to be in it. And then he was featured in it, and every single scene he was in was just my favorite from the whole series. I think my favorite scene of the whole entire series, like I'm saying the whole entire series, season 1, season 2, my favorite scene, it was that amazing scene between Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk when he went into the jail to talk to Wilson Fisk because he had suspected that he helped Frank Castle escape, which obviously he did, and Matt went in there and basically threatened him. So he was threatening him as Matt Murdock, the blind lawyer, not Daredevil, Matt Murdock. So obviously there's a huge amount of vulnerability there. And then when Fisk just like smacked his head onto the table, it was pretty obvious that you could say that Matt looked really afraid, but if you actually know him and you've been watching the series, then you'll know how frustrated and angry he was in that scene. You could just see it. He was just boiling to smack the crap out of Wilson Fisk there, and I think it was so amazingly acted and written. There was a tiny moment in that scene where we saw Matt sort of fight back for like a second. He like threw a punch and Wilson just like held him in place. So you could see that there was this struggle in Matt where he really, really wanted to, but he couldn't because obviously the suspicions would fall on him and people would question it. So that scene was just spectacular, and Charlie Cox did an amazing job, as well as Vincent D'Onofrio, who is just the best as Wilson Fisk, the best. Freaking Kingpin was born in this series. You could just see it in the jail, him taking over. Everything was perfection. I have to give out an honorable mention for my second favorite scene, which was, of course, no one thought that you could top the fight scene from season 1. The one-shot camera in the hallway. There's no possible way you could top that. Oh, how we were wrong. Season 2, the stairwell scene, just a one-shot camera tracking down, was fantastic. And I think it made it so much more special, the fact that Matt had a gun taped to his arm from the Punisher, aka Frank Castle. So it made it a lot more dynamic, and we could see exactly how tired he was. So it was very realistic as well. I think halfway through he sort of just like leant on the wall and was like, my god, I'm really done. I just want to go home, people. I want to go home and sleep this off. Please, can there just be no one left? There was some honorable mentions to Jessica Jones, so connecting this series once again. We had Claire talk about how she has been helping other metahumans. They're talking, you know, special people with powers, obviously relating to helping Luke from the Jessica Jones series. And then Hogarth was in there as well and offered Foggy the job at the end of the series, and she basically tells him, oh, you have seen nothing yet. Because obviously Hogarth has been through the mill in extreme abuse regarding superhero powers, so really Foggy hasn't seen anything. So that's my review on Daredevil Season 2 today, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you haven't seen the series, you must go watch it. You have to watch this series. It is so good, and it is the best superhero TV series at the moment, definitely. Season 1 and Season 2 are both on Netflix, so go watch it. As always, thank you so much for watching. My name's Kim, and I will see you very soon. Goodbye.